reversal on the telecom giant from China, ZTE. You know, in 2012, the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence of the House said that, quote unquote, this company could undermine core U.S. national security interests. Even last week, your nominee to the Counterterrorism Security Center said that they present serious security risk to the United States. Even Senator Rubio said it'd be crazy to go back on this. So it's really not an issue if it presents a security question. Yet the President, via tweet, took the pressure right off just 3 days after getting a loan arrangement that will support the Trump brand and reverse this. Now, even either last night or this morning, he said, well, maybe it could be dealt with a fine or changing the principles of the company, which you know are run by the Chinese government and influenced by the Chinese government. Number one, should that be reversed? Should that ban be reversed? And number two, should the President really divest himself of these business interests? Now, second quick question is on the President's phone. There's been reports that his cell phone isn't equipped with sophisticated security devices, and it exposes him to hacking and surveillance in that regard. You wrote, Mr. Secretary, a couple of years ago, dealing with the other former Secretary, that disregard for the letter and spirit of the law in her handling of classified information is not a political issue, it's a national security issue that puts American interest and American lives in danger. Second question, will you advise the President to change his phone and make it more secure in that respect? And finally, if you could, you said just a few minutes ago that security is about being thoughtful for where you put people. So I'd like your opinion on the fact that all the people in the administration and all the qualified people in the United States of America, the President has put the chief negotiator for Middle East peace in the hands of his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who is limited in his knowledge of this because he's been denied security clearance necessary, really, to have a full grasp of that issue. His temporary clearance was removed due to apparent conflicts of interest and a very large number of discrepancies on his SF-86 form. So on those three questions, if you could, Mr. Secretary, please respond.
Sure. Let me take a swing at all three of them. I'll try and do them in the sequence you provided them. With respect to ZTE, you note that this threat has been known since 2012. You should note nothing was done in what now amounts to almost 6 years. This administration is going to do something. We're still working on the appropriate response and how to address it, but it's worth noting that for 6 years, mostly under the previous administration, nothing was done.
Mr. Secretary, by just quick comment,
sure.
That doesn't make it right.
No,
Either
sir,
they're in danger or they're not. The President's been in office for a year, over a year now, and nothing was done evidently.
I agree.
So time to do it,
I
right?
agree. I agree. We need to make sure that America is secure and from threats to all. There are multiple ZTEs, one amongst many of these same types of threats, and I look forward to working. This seems to me a bipartisan issue.
So it still should be banned.
We're going to get this right. We're going to reduce the risk from ZTE to America. It's still under review what's taking place. I've been part of some of the discussions, although not all of them, but I understand at least as of yesterday afternoon, no final resolution had been reached. Secretary of State, I'll leave to others the President's phone. I won't walk away a single bit from what I said previously. Every government elected official has responsibility to comply with,
including the President, Mr. Secretary?
Every government official.
So who would tell him that under your organization?
Congressman, I don't have any comment on that. We all have a responsibility.
But excuse me, if you know it, and it's true, if it is true, would you feel compelled to say, Mr. President, you got to change your phone? It's a security risk. Wouldn't you at least do that for America?
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this.
You can't do that for America? Come on now.
We're both great patriots. I think we share that. I'm going to do everything I can.
You wouldn't tell the President if he had an unsecure phone, hey, Mr. President, you got to get a new phone. You wouldn't tell him that? Why wouldn't you tell him?
I have managed for 16 months not to talk about conversations I've had with the President.
Well, have you had that conversation?
I do not intend to violate that principle today with respect to conversations between myself
and
the President.
I'm going to take that, if you will, that you've never told the President, hey, you better get a new phone that's secure.
I can't account for how you'll take it. I can only tell you that
you can't account for how he'll take it?
I can't account for how
Who can?
You shouldn't construe the absence of a comment from me one way or the other. Know this, every time I see a security issue, I try to do my best to fix it, whether it's something that I got wrong or someone else made an error as well.
Quickly,
Mr. Mike McCall of Texas.